Welcome to your extended magic moon message. We are back, baby. I don't remember the last time I did one of these, but shout out to those of you who are Instagram members. We back. I'm gonna bring these back every 2 weeks. Unlike before, where these functioned as like a recap, I'm actually just gonna go ahead of time this time. So yeah, we're gonna talk about this Virgo new moon and the lead up into the full moon in Pisces. And we can recap, really. I'll make them both a recap and give you a sneak peek of what's to come, basically. But yeah, shout out to all of you guys who stuck true to your beliefs since March, where we had that eclipse. I'm gonna post this video on YouTube after I'm done, so if you want to catch the replay, if you're not a member, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel. And this will also be uploaded on the app, so for those of you who are subscribed to the Supernatural app, you can catch that there too. I even updated the videos, so before, if you've noticed on my channel, you'll see a bunch of videos scheduled to be premiered. I changed all of that to where if you're a YouTube channel member, you can watch them all right now. If you're on my app, they're all available as well. All right, y'all, just had to get out the way. We've started this new moon in Virgo cycle. I wouldn't get too caught up on how things are supposed to look, because everything is changing. Thank you, Paula. Sagittarius season this year and next year will definitely get us situated relative to our visions. But other than that, hang tight, y'all. Oh my God. We're still just barely getting started. And I think it's pretty dope to witness this changing of guards. Vegas looks alright. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not at the heart of it right now. Oh, I guess I can't change my camera view. But it looks alright. It's after 5. It's not too hot today. Shout out to Tara, bro. Yeah, y'all. Basically, we're starting this new cycle, like I just said. The changing of guard, seeing this shift of power between generations. I imagine the Pluto Capricorn cycle from 2008 to 2023, shout out to Poetry Pole, shifted Generation X through more power. And I always like to say, if you look at 2003, like imagine talking to Generation X at 2008 versus now. Before they looked so full of life and hope, and now they look lifeless, betrayed, disillusioned. So shout out to the millennials. You're next. We're next. I want you to just look at Generation X right now. Look at how hopeful they looked before they went through their Pluto square. And look at how jaded they look now, you know? And I think that's beautiful. The boomers went through it from 95 to 2008. Millennials, it's our turn. You know they want to make us out to be the worst generation ever, to blame everything on us. We're entitled as fuck, apparently. And Gen Z, don't worry, you next. 2044 is your time. If the world isn't like bathed in some cataclysmic fire because of y'all beforehand. Super jaded. Thank you, Okie Dokie. Super jaded, because they are a super generation. So yeah, trust me. It's just a coming of age. It's our turn. I'm sure this won't be way too intense. It's going to be very particular for millennials and Gen Z, because we have Pluto Aqua and Pluto Pisces, which is totally different than any other Pluto sign. How the fuck are we entitled if boomers won't give a shit? Thank you, Tarot, bro. That's what I'm talking about. Who the fuck knows? But that being said, yo, this new moon in Virgo, what do you think the music industry looking like coming up? The entertainment industry, including music and movie, we're headed into a major renaissance. And what allows me to think that is the absolute trash that's been coming out. And I don't mean based on my opinion. I mean based on the opinions of people of all walks of life who have been generally dissatisfied with music and movies for the past decade, is a great sign that a major renaissance is happening. This actually happened in the 90s, the last time Saturn was in Aries. And that's why I'm excited about this period. Gen Z is going to have a lot to do with that, and this budding Gen Alpha. The millennials, of course, will be like the mentors with Gen X. And it should be exciting relative to all this cultural slop or BS, or rather the cultural tension rather that's in play, setting all this up. Back in like 95, 96, 97, you had a bunch of Hanna-Barbera cartoons that kept airing as far as reruns. And then boom, you have original new material like the Rugrats, Pokemon. I'm using children's cartoons, but music, sports. I mean, this is Michael Jordan's era. Michael Jackson was still hot back then. And that led into the 2000s era where we saw its peak. So now that we've come back around, right? And we're seeing this whole thing of things getting recycled. Things getting recycled is never new, but the nature with which, you know, certain things that worked before aren't necessarily working or hitting like that. Marvel has reset their structure. The whole thing as far as music and movies is they're resetting. They're adjusting to previous inflation. And to me, all of these things set the stage for, I think, the most extraordinary renaissances we've ever seen, especially concerning music, where people are more vocal about what they're fed up with, what doesn't really work like that anymore. And that's just going to open the space for independent creatives to shine like never before, and the youth, you know, younger people, to kind of take advantage of this stuff. That's my hope, at least. It could get even worse. It could get even worse. I don't think that's the case. I want to at least hold out that it's not that bad, but it's definitely very important, because this is going to be happening now. So by the time we step into 2026, that's really what's going to bring in, you know, GTA 6 and all these newer programs and systems through the rest of the decade. And I think that should be pretty fun, which makes, you know, this period all the more important, because you're defining your behavioral patterns and lifestyle. Shout out to Avery Crane. That's going to take you into the new world. Okay, so 6 months ago we had Saturn conjunct Neptune and the North Node in Pisces. We had the eclipse with the sun and moon there, with the new moon and the full moon in Virgo, and that prepared you to really activate belief systems. Belief with Pisces, systems with Saturn. It went into Aries so that you can soft launch this application of these belief systems. Because if you have a system of beliefs, especially regarding around what you believe about yourself, then as we move into Aries, you apply these beliefs, the mutable Pisces cardinally through Aries. And this puts you in a position to realistically now embody and identify with this. So if I believe that I am, of course, the sexiest woman alive, I can now go into pageants and start competing as a woman. And, you know, I might find a lot of difficulty there, because there might not necessarily be as much integrity in me. And I'm not saying this about trans, I'm just using this example. As far as like, if I try to compete in that sense, I might have difficulty, because now there is some type of, incongruence with what I am like believing I am versus what I can realistically do. All right. Versus if I could even use the same analogy. If I was like, if I said I'm like the sexiest Chinese man and I go into a competition of just Chinese people and I'm starting to have difficulty, it doesn't mean I can't make waves and change stuff, but I'm actively going against, this is not the best analogy at all. I just want to throw out one there. But, I wanted to use something extreme to just really highlight the importance of having integrity in who you are. And I didn't want to necessarily, this works if you're transgendered too. So I want to kind of say that, because I know the example I just used before kind of goes into that. But like, regardless of what you identify with, it's really the integrity of how you're standing on that. Okay. So for example, you can see, I'm going to use transgenderism as an example. You will have transgendered people who use the belief in order to gain perks, but they don't really stand on that. You will see transgendered people who do stand on the integrity of their transition and, taking the backlash that comes with versus playing victim with the backlash that comes with. Will take two different people who decide to identify as trans, and you see one operating it in integrity versus one using it to play victim, right? It doesn't really matter what group we're talking about, LGBTQ, straight, conservative, liberal, Muslim, Christian. It's very important to really highlight this, because it's very easy to like take the group in and of itself and to just put that under an umbrella like it's wrong. But what we're looking at is individuality. So regardless of what it is you are claiming, what realistically can you bring with integrity into this? Okay, because everyone does have a role to play. And the reason why that's very significant is, it's very easy to, of course, just point the finger at a group and not necessarily take into account what said individual is bringing to the table or contributing or actually establishing and cultivating. Okay. So yeah, with that being said, the tests that we've had since it went into Aries was a sneak peek and a soft launch to see how realistically you can beta test these beliefs in yourself, right? If you felt like you believe you can be a successful track and field star, and you've spent the past 6 months training to run an event, and now, your discipline and the effort you're putting in to reach that goal, this Virgo season is going to now integrate a routine, like a lifestyle. You live the life of a track star that can eventually become successful, versus if you say you want to become a track star, but you've never practiced, you're eating poorly. Now your actions are not necessarily aligning with who you believe you're meant to be. That's this Saturn retrograding back into Pisces. So 6 months ago, Saturn was in Pisces. By May, it went into Aries, and then it's been in Aries until now. It's going back into Pisces. So you've created the belief system. You've tested how well you can apply it. It's re-evaluating whether it's feasible or not. And as it goes back into Pisces, but with the sun in Virgo, you're going to be re-evaluating whether the beliefs you had in March actually align with now how you are living out those beliefs. What habits have you, of course, harvested and begun to integrate that aligns with who you believe yourself to be? And that's going to be a massive reality check for a lot of people, or everyone coming into the next 30 days, as many people will realize many of their beliefs were delusional and placed as a victim. So now they're not able to practically ground that belief through a habit. Some of you are going to realize that beliefs that you had that everyone around you told them were unreasonable turned out to actually have basis in reality because you made it real. You integrated through developing the thought process in Gemini, that was the checkpoint in June, routine that can actually sustain these beliefs, even if they don't seem possible. So this is definitely going to be reassuring for those of you who have been, of course, taking time out over the past 6 months to put in work, to definitely activate and integrate these beliefs, especially by the end of the year, where you'll come into the actual vision of what this is all beginning to look like. Yeah. So as such, we kick off this new moon in Virgo cycle, preparing for you to now activate these new routines and behavioral patterns. Green. Oh no. Green. No, that's too high. I'm trying to hit that green sign right there. And put yourself in a, that was too high. And put yourself in a position, of course, to not only master these new behaviors, but to prepare to present them, oh, I missed it, through to Libra season. Okay. The science of Virgo going into Libra is you practice and you present. Virgo is you at the gym. Libra is you at the recital. So when you're actually, So, my bad. So when you're actually at a recital, it's too late to practice. You have to actually present what you have prepared, right? And that's what this Virgo season is. I always like to think a Libra season is like cuffing season or tryouts. So, this is the time to get in a gym or whatever the fuck. But as of now, you have talents that have been revealed. I mean, even before now, we could take existing abilities and talents. Shout out to Seven Synth. New talents and abilities. So it's been established right now through Leo season. And of course, now this is where you're going to take those talents and master and perfect them. How do you do that? Consistency. So literally just pick at least one thing that you're committed to do for the next 25 days or 30 days. It's that simple. In fact, I'm just going to cut this short right now. I'm going to keep going. But if you have to go real quick, the whole point of this whole new moon is to pick 1, 2, 3 things and commit to doing it every day. Don't worry about whether it's effective or not. Just do the shit every day. That's it. Just do it every day. That's it. Just do it every day. This is really one of those seasons you could literally get away with putting away and procrastinating until this season, and you just knock it out. Should you do that? You shouldn't get in the habit of doing that, but you're going to build a habit, right? Meditation, Rich Boss Wish has been doing. This is going to be an amazing period where those of you practicing the law of assumption, those of you developing your affirmations through Gemini season, you're going to see real evidence of it. You're going to see the real change. And that's why you really want to get excited about this season, because of the earth element that brings a real practicality, and the social nature of Virgo that now interfaces everything you've been developing towards other people, and towards the interpersonal interactions that will develop your behavior and habits. Okay, so we've activated new habits. The moon is still in Virgo right now, so your subconscious is going to guide you relative to how you begin to set your routine. And before we go more into that, I do want to kind of recap once again why we're here and what got us here. So the eclipse we had 6 months ago, like we said, set your beliefs up. Saturn retrograding back into Pisces since then, where it was in Pisces, is going to test whether, remember, that eclipse, God gave you a promise. God gave you this unrealistic promise. The universe, you know what I'm saying? Like, you may have promised yourself, you may have said, I believe in 6 to 9 months I could achieve this. I believe this is what I am moving forward, right? Points with Neptune in Pisces, if you made this somewhat unrealistic, if this was an actual dream, so that you could show yourself that your previous limits can be exceeded. If you had some realistic and unrealistic goals, it really doesn't matter, because of course, since then, that set of belief systems, now that we're in Virgo, you're going to be tested with the opposition to see, okay, you believed this 6 months ago. How have you formed a lifestyle that supports these beliefs? And if you have not been able to do that, the full moon will show you how you have to change what you're doing to match these beliefs, or what about your beliefs you have to change in order to match the routine you want to move forward with. Okay. As you pick something to do or are already doing day to day, you will understand through the next 2 weeks how to adjust, how to shift them, how to perfect them. Okay. Then we went to Aries season. Aries season now put you in the direction towards what you're believing in, to establish this identity, no, the North Node was already in Pisces, but to kind of step forward there. Then we stepped into Taurus. Saturn and Neptune entered Aries. No, Saturn and Neptune entered Aries during Cancer season, actually. So we went into Taurus. We conjuncted Uranus at the end of Taurus, which is another important aspect. The final innovation of our value and worth, which is a very important relative to any investments, especially crypto. During this period, Uranus and Taurus since 2008 really represents the innovation of financial security, cryptocurrency. Even though crypto has existed long before 2018, not 2008, 2018, this is why it's gained greater prominence when Uranus went into Taurus. The last time Uranus was in Taurus, America had its Great Depression. So that's also very interesting. But, and of course that had to have been like back in the 30s or whatever. But with that being said, right, Taurus not only had us activate this unique innovation at the end, but it then slipped into Gemini when we entered Gemini season. Jupiter then finished out of Gemini, coming out of Gemini season. So we're starting the year, the new cycle off with activating the eclipse in Pisces, going through Aries, activating the final Uranus conjunction, finishing off Jupiter, evolving your mindset. So we activated new magical abilities, through mindsets, new thoughts. And then, of course, we had Cancer season. So Jupiter entered Cancer. We had the conjunction in Cancer season. Saturn and Neptune entered Aries. And now this gave us an ability to, while we are simultaneously activating a new cycle of emotional depth and evolving our psychic power, the power of our minds, right? So Gemini evolved the mindset. And now we're taking that mindset and we're evolving the power of our mind that utilizes this mindset. We challenged ourselves with the square of applying the integrity of our character. So we're converting the integrity of our belief system into the integrity of our identity and this reimagination with Neptune. So that was the square we had then. Then we went into Leo season. The sun opposed Pluto, and the sun opposition to Pluto in Leo, in Aquarius, because Pluto was in Leo in the 50s, enabled us to now really kick off that process of course, harvesting supernatural talents and quality. As every year over the next 19 years, in January, late January and February, the sun will conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. And every time that happens, we activate a brand new cycle of supernatural quality. Or we could say a brand new cycle of humanity's awakening, or we could say a whole new cycle of, Pluto in Aquarius. And then every late July, August, we'll have the opposition. And that's going to, of course, break bread. It's going to harvest it from every August to November. When we get to Scorpio, that one flow is definitely going to be responsible for spontaneously awakening thousands of people a year to step more into supernatural quality that we look at as sci-fi and fantasy. And especially with the telepathy tapes and you know, Aquarius representing the mind and Jupiter evolving Gemini of your brain's processing and thoughts, the link between your frequency and the collective conscious mind that taps you in locally to other people's thoughts and subconsciouses and a collective unconscious is going to get stronger. Okay. This of course could be felt in increased pressure, psychosis, auditory, visual hallucinations. Your brain is of course having to adapt to this shift of energy and the shift of times. So you could literally just chalk it up to an accelerated development that we will of course move more in sync with coming in the next year. And of course, after Leo season, this is crazy. After Leo season that has appropriately began to harvest this, we're in Virgo season now. So Virgo season started off with the square to Uranus and Gemini. And at the very end of Taurus season, we activated that Uranus cycle. So the seeds we planted for this innovation are finally beginning to break through the ground and integrate through how? Our lifestyle. So it's like you minted a new coin. Now you're taking it to the market. And over the next 3 months, you're going to see how it trades and sells, or how it buys and sells, and how you can add to it. The way this will play out for you, given that Uranus the last time Uranus was in Gemini was World War II, and the last time Neptune was Aries was Civil War. This is going to now challenge this initial unconventional innovation of your mind, of gadgets and technology, that where everything is becoming smart. And it's going to ask you how it is you now begin to form your routine relative to these mental innovations. A great example of this is, last year Uranus was not in Gemini. So really think about where you were at this time last year versus now. Where last year, I don't even think Grok was a thing. Maybe Grok was a thing last year, right? But last year we just barely really kind of stepped into GPT. GPT has been here for a couple of years versus this year where we have GPT-5 and Grok 4, right? So we have a definitive upgrade in technology. How does that technology influence our day-to-day life? And that's what we're going to be examining throughout the rest of the decade, coming into 2033 at higher quality and intervals. So this is actually this is actually very ridiculous. A square like this is highly unpredictable, even though Virgo will ground the nature of it. So be okay with, things not going entirely as planned, as some of those things may actually work greater in your favor if you can adapt, which is always the message of mutable signs. So, of course, we've activated this cycle. The new moon we are having is a yod, a finger of God. God is fingering the universe right now. And it's putting you in a position to take this awakening of humanity as we step into this new era, Saturn Aries. Last 2 times we had that was like 64 and 95. So we back again. And fresh off of the world ending 2020 to 2024 was the apocalypse. And now we're setting up the new world order. What makes me say the new world order is that Saturn is order. It's the new world. Or Saturn is the world order and Aries is the new cycle. So new world order. The beginning of the end of the world was the world Saturn at the end of the zodiac. Albeit because it also coincided with other outer planets that weren't there since the United States Declaration, amongst other things. It brings back like cycles that span upwards of 250 years. Which now make just more sense to the division you see in every country as the nature of the world is transforming in front of our face. And who knows the alien disclosure that might take its place. I just wanted to say alien and I wanted to rhyme, so I said its place. So that being said, right, this new moon in Virgo is adding this grounded perspective relative to your approach of how you'll take advantage of this yard. The potency of Saturn and Aries going back into Pisces, and the extreme diabolical nature of Pluto and Aquarius that is retrograded to 1 degree are going to be the intensity that adds pressure to your definition of this routine. And that's why I'm saying, if you really just stay true and be consistent with the presence of the South Node in Virgo, unlike your average Virgo season where this consistency will be met with difficulty and will be met with the need to be disciplined to see it through, this time it's still going to be there. But with the South Node and all these placements, things are literally going to magically align like they were meant to align. And it's just such a great 6 weeks and months to take advantage of moving forward, because we'll never really get something like this again. Albeit the one we'll have next year is also going to take on a similar quality. That one's going to be geared towards starting a brand new world. So this is why I like to use the analogy where this year you have completed a contract with a major label, but next year you might decide to go independent, or you might decide to sign with a new management, or you might re-sign your contract, but you completely change the terms of the contract. So what that might feel, right? If this major label is society and the collective, a lot of you have decided not to sign back with old worldviews, with outdated principles and beliefs, with things your parents used to do and their parents used to do, with social expectations that people really only listen to because that's just what everyone does. A lot of you have killed those contracts, those presumptive contracts you may knowingly or unknowingly participate in, because not for everyone, but for some of you, it doesn't really matter whether you have or not. But for the purpose of this analogy, you're going independent. And that's really as we get back into Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Uranus and Gemini, Saturn and Aries, Jupiter and Cancer, this is a new wave of independence. This is getting ready. And that's what's going to lead a lot to the Renaissance, as mainstream outlets may lose the faith and support they've had from many people. They're going to seek other outlets that you'll see grow. And it doesn't all have to happen at once, but it is an idea of what's possible. Even if you see these mainstream outlets rebrand themselves in an effort to kind of dodge or prevent that from happening, I'm not going to say any of these are good or bad. Shout out to Magical Matos. Hit her up for a tarot reading. She's amazing. That being said, I want you to imagine you're going independent, because the Sun-Saturn conjunction in Pisces that we had was literally like you finishing off your last contract. You're a free agent now. You've been a free agent for this whole year so far, and you're going to sign a new contract next April when we have Sun Saturn conjunct in Aries, late March actually. So you know what I mean? You might decide to go independent. This is going to favor those of you who want to take 30 plus years of your experience, if you're even 30, and to now apply it independently, or to join a organization that reflects your interests. So why am I saying this? Similar to the industry, when you refuse to sign to a certain major, now they're shitting on you in advertising. Now they're doing everything they can to make sure you're not as successful because you're not using their avenues. And I'm just going to say that hypothetically relative to people's stories in the industry, right? Let's just use this analogy, right? Because now you're a competitor of that label, and business is business. So it's okay, the opportunities we gave you before, now we're going to tell people that you're bad for business. Now we're going to tell people you're hard to work with. Now we're going to close out opportunities with people who you used to work with because you don't want us to own you, pretty much, right? And you might be experiencing that today with shame and guilt from people who aren't able to leverage or manipulate you because you don't necessarily align or apply to a lot of the beliefs that make up much of societal insert word, right? And I don't want to pit this where it's you versus society, because it's not really that simple, but it is going to be the basis of a lot of interference, psychological manipulation, because you're already standing in the integrity of your power. And for those of you who have passed the Saturn Pisces integrity check test on your belief systems, you have now stepped into a new era of unfuckwitableness as you stand on your integrity and be who you are, which means it's going to come with good, bad, ugly, and integrity is taking all of it and not picking and choosing what personally you have to deal with, and not allowing others to tell you you're picking and choosing when you're standing in integrity. So that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it is most definitely rewarding, because at this level, it's your individual right to stand on your rights and to take what comes with it, so you could take the victory it comes with too. All right. Of course, as we step into next year, the integrity you have maintained in the face of other people who instantly folded once there was pressure, because what they do or believe goes against other people's sensibilities, you who haven't folded, you're going to skate past by the rest of this year. And it's really just as simple as maintaining and building on that. So for those of you who understand how important it is to really get your dream out there, your dream, your belief, your plan, your goal, and to do whatever is possible to facilitate that, that's where this Virgo season comes in, because it's going to provide you, through you, the practical means to actually form behavioral patterns, so that this is no longer ideological, it's no longer just metaphorical, it's real. And if you're excited about all this being real, everything that you have sowed since the past 6 months, you're literally beginning to reap now. Every day as we move forward, you want to look forward to literally seeing, of course, more practical, grounded reality of things that were literally just a dream a few months ago. Now, as a magic hack, any intentions that you have set, any wishes that you've had over 6 months, right, especially for this new moon, the best way to actualize them is to take anything mundane, to take any routine, to take anything you are committed to doing over the next 30 days, and to do that routine as the person who has already accomplished the goal. So let's say, very simple, let's say, oh, my goal is to be as sexy as I've ever been. This is a very easy one, right? And you have committed to a workout regimen that you're going to stick to over the next 20 days, right? Then every time you do that workout regimen, you're doing it knowing you're sexy. I'm sexy. I'm sexy. I'm sexy. It's going to get rigorous. It's going to get monotonous. It's going to get repetitive. It's supposed to. You could even do this walking. Let's say you don't even do a workout regimen. Let's say you have a 9-to-5 job that you're going to be going to relatively almost every day for the next 20 days. As you go to that job, you go to that job like, I'm the sexiest person working in this job. It's literally that simple. You just want to align your intention with something you're doing every day. Practical magic. And it's really the consistency in doing that that will bring all the change necessary and guide inspired action for you to do what you need to do to get there and to cross the bridge of incidents that will arise in order to get there. I want to simplify it because it's really not that hard. If you're too focused on how to do it, how isn't really important. And I really want you to check out my ultimate manifestation playlist, because practicing this will hyper accelerate the results you may already be receiving and not know you're experiencing. So with that being said, your willingness to carry forth what you believe you can make real over the next 30 days will make this real through your determination and consistency. And I want to once again just reiterate, it doesn't matter really what you do as much as just doing it every day. And I'm just saying relative, I don't mean in principle, obviously in principle that works, but I mean this next 30-day stretch is literally hooking anyone up who does this to the point, it's to the point where if you did nothing all year, this next 30 days will switch it around for you. Just because you put in consistent work. And you don't even need to beat yourself up on how hard it is versus just the consistency. You can if you want greater results, but yeah. And I'm using working out as an analogy. This could be even eating junk food. I don't advise that, but this could be if you're singing, if anything that you're working on, as Virgo correlates to the 6th house of work, any routine, work, you could build work, right? So when the moon goes into Libra, we're going to now activate the manifestation of this magic. So you're learning a new technique to tie in together all of the things you've learned since March, as every year is a firmware update, and you're always going to come into new experiences and insight. So you're tying it together. You're going to gain a socially balanced understanding of what it is you're stepping into. And what's very important with the Libra moon opposite this integrity of character, people can justify any reason to like or dislike you, and you have to be willing to stand on the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's certain things you do and there's certain ways you behave that reasonably will piss other people off, or they may not take a liking to, but you have to remind yourself that they can still suck your dick. And this is so very important. Their inability to demonstrate how it is a real issue versus just an issue to them will save you from really giving your power away and allowing other people to use that to manipulate your actions by leveraging their respect or lack thereof. You have to be okay with people disliking you. And I'm not even saying like for no reason. Certain people have good reasons to dislike you. You have to be okay with that and utilize that. You have to, and I'm talking about things that you do. Shout out to Christina. I'm talking about things that you do that you can stand on. So like if someone doesn't like a certain way you behave or do, but you were called to stand on that and be like, I don't care, this is what I do. That's what you need to stand on. They can create all sorts of reasons as to why, oh, this goes against their sensibilities or whatever. Did you tell them to suck your D? Because this is something you stand on. Even if everyone else may make fun of you for it, what is it that you have integrity doing, or you really don't care that you do, versus someone that calls you out for something you know you shouldn't be doing and you wouldn't have the courage to stand on it? That's going to create that tension. So just be very mindful of that. And the moon in Libra is going to really establish how well you understand this bridging of the integrity of this character you're building, everything that you believed you can be, that you're stepping into now, and how you balance this social understanding of holding that space while not losing your individual technique, and help you understand how to direct it towards others. Then the moon's going to go into psychological Scorpio. So Virgo is analytical, Scorpio is psychoanalytical. And now everything that you have begun to analyze and break down around how we're going to begin to form routines, change your behavior, tie this all together, we're going to go psychologically deeper in Scorpio and now strengthen the perspective we're activating. Once again, now that we're king-kunxing Pluto in Aquarius, there is a more literal, real, practical understanding of an awareness of how these supernatural breakthroughs actually play out through you. Shout out to Markel. Okay. You're going to actually be able to analyze and break down how this works. Hence the Scorpio signature. The sun is about like 210 degrees exact from Pluto. And moving forward, as it does this every year, we're going to do this at higher levels, but for this first go around, for the first time ever. And I think that's what you need to appreciate. A lot of things that you might have assumed were just in your head, a lot of dynamics that you assumed only exist in comic books, you're really doing. And it's not based on anything you didn't think you couldn't do, but you're going to see more of this breakthrough. It's not like 2 years from now where Pluto will be further in Aquarius, and you're going to see during this time 2 years from now more real evidence of this. This is like a subtle breakthrough. The sun is quincunx Pluto at 1 degree. It's square Uranus at 1 degree Gemini. So this is going to be like breaking through phenomena and abilities that you were doing before, but not on this level. That you were noticing before, but not on this level. It's going to begin to tie together a lot of questions you had relative to how you facilitated certain synchronicities, how you're able to discern and make sense of certain things, okay? And that's another thing to keep in mind as we continue this quincunx. And I think relative to this breakthrough series with the sun opposite Pluto, quincunxing in Virgo, trining in Libra, and squaring in Scorpio every year for the next 19 years will really kind of express this whole idea of a whole new generation of people with superpowers, supernatural abilities. But it's cool because at this initial stage, it's giving you this opportunity to step through. So Moon in Libra, we're going to step into this tomorrow and next tomorrow. Who says next tomorrow? And then, of course, Moon in Scorpio is going to allow us a much deeper psychoanalytical understanding of transforming our behavior and activating this transformation of behavior. Then the magic is really going to kick off. The moon's going to go into Sagittarius in about a week from now, and we're going to begin to gain a visual understanding of how everything is changing. And that's where over the next week, as we're planting seeds and we're activating this change of behavior, the work that you put in will start to integrate. It's going to start to poke its head to where you are seeing where you want to take everything. And this is going to change your vision and the meaning of how you are actively shaping your routine, behavior, and lifestyle. Then we're going to apply that vision when the moon goes into Capricorn to utilize these new techniques. Okay? So basically, now up until a week from now, you're activating a supernatural nature of techniques and behaviors that you'll begin to understand the meaning of and begin to see in a week from now. And then once the moon goes into Capricorn, you're going to understand how to organize and control it very practically, very physically. You're going to understand with that moon in Capricorn about a week and change from now, how to fully express it and what level of groundedness is needed to allow this to not only be practical, but consistent. And that's the beautiful thing about Virgo season. A lot of what you've seen over the past 6 months that are possible are going to gain a lot more consistency because of your commitment to be consistent as well. Shout out to Sarah. All right. And all you have to do, once again, is to just pick something that you personally want to commit to and stick to it every day. It's through this commitment that everything else around will go through. Stuff completely unrelated to what you're even doing. That's why I'm saying it doesn't really matter what you do. Like your intention could be to have 6-pack abs and all you do is karaoke every night. The way you're going to start doing the karaoke will be more energetic. Now, am I going to say that that's all you need to do to get 6-pack abs? No, but challenge me on this, right? Like, try applying that to that consistency. If you want like $1 million and all you do every day is karaoke, then sing karaoke like you're a millionaire. Yeah, 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 every fucking day. And by day 15, you might meet someone while you're doing karaoke who gives you $1 million opportunity. It's literally that simple. It may not be easy, but it's literally that simple. And of course, as the moon segues through these signs, you will be guided on how to perfect it. So the moon in Capricorn is going to now fully express control of this new technique you're developing in behavior, tying together everything we've prepped. And once the moon goes into Aquarius, we're going to come into a very extraordinarily advanced way to understand this new technique. It's going to give you a knowledgeable understanding, shout out to Tanea, of everything you are currently shifting in your habits. So just to recap, this new moon in Virgo is asking you to commit to one or more things you're ready to do every day up until like the next 28 days. Okay? Stick to the most magical thing you can do, especially if you've already been doing it. We're exercising our manifestation muscles, and this is what you're constantly manifesting. So right now, your brain is constantly thinking thoughts, right? You think about 10,000 plus thoughts or so a day. Law of assumption is telling you you're already manifesting. Like, you already have subconscious thoughts. You already have beliefs that are manifesting right now, and you're not aware of it. So just change those thoughts. And it's not saying I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. You could do that though. But it's like, as you're thinking, just think about what it's like for me to be rich. I'm thinking about the new Audi and Infinity that I copped because I got it like that. I'm not worried about how the money's coming, where it's coming from, why. I'm just focused on that's what it is. And I'm actively changing those thoughts, and everything else pretty much does the work with and through me. I'm going to take action to get that, but I don't have to worry about that. I'm just actively changing those thoughts. And when I am tempted to think negatively and be like, oh, I don't have money I don't think that. I think about my new fucking Bugatti. Like, it's literally that simple. If you feel delusional, it's working because you're changing mental patterns you have unconsciously put in there and allowed other people to reinforce. And it's when you begin to change your ideas, the agents of the matrix pop up. The agents of the matrix are people who you aligned with old negative thinking patterns, who gain leverage over you having that negative thinking pattern. When you think better for yourself, that shift of energy threatens those who don't want to see you grow better than them, or who have something to gain from manipulating your low self-esteem, and that exposes them because they're going to start to antagonize. Even if they don't even know what you're saying, let them believe who they show you they are. Okay? And it's going to start attracting people who align with the way you think. All right? So we're going to begin to activate this new behavior. It's a commitment to a lifestyle. You're getting ready to activate the life you want to live. Over the next 2 weeks, by the time we get to the full moon, what is the lifestyle you believe you could be living? Start living it now. Even if it doesn't look like it's possible, start thinking as the person who lives it, and just think as that relative to what you're doing every day. Okay? So we're going to activate this change of behavior now. It's activating how you're going to do it. Moon in Libra, you're going to actually... Moon in Libra, you're going to activate the balance to now, of course, add potency to this perspective. You're going to strengthen that potency in Scorpio. It's going to reveal a lot of deeper psychological wisdom to strengthen your habits. Then the moon is going to go into Sagittarius. You're going to see how what you're already working on for a week is already starting to happen, is already starting to integrate. You're going to apply that vision of what you see in a Capricorn, control how to fully express this pattern and behavior, because Virgo is a technique, right? So if you learn a new technique, how do I fully express that? Then the moon in Aquarius is going to hack that technique, and it's going to give you advanced knowledge on how to like extraordinarily integrate this. Right now, the moon is at the end of Virgo. It's like 23, 24 degrees. It's going to be in Libra coming into another 8 hours. By tomorrow morning, it'll be in Libra. And that's when now this understanding of how we want to really live our life, we're going to take that first step. We're going to have a social understanding of how what we're doing balances or not with other people. And the trick to that is, I want to balance myself and bridge myself to other people, but I don't want to lose my individuality. The opposition to Saturn. I'm going to still hold integrity on who I am while still being able to bridge myself with others. Then when the moon leaves Aquarius, it's going to go into Pisces. And the 2 weeks from now until then that we've activated and through Sagittarius integrated, we'll begin to break through and harvest. And in just 2 weeks, when we kick into that Virgo eclipse, the full moon eclipse, it's going to take into account the past 10 years and the past 6 months. And you're going to begin to see the full breakthrough of everything you've been working for the past 6 months. Okay. This is where, when the moon is in Sagittarius, opposite Uranus and Gemini, it's going to be challenging how well you can align what you could achieve with this new unconventional way of thinking. And when the moon squares in Pisces, it will eventually, of course, influence your beliefs as well. So shout out to those of you guys who this message has helped. I see you, Kimberly. I see you, Elisha, all of you guys in the chat. I'm going to post this once again on YouTube right now if you want to catch the replay, or if you came in late and you want to see this from the beginning. I'll keep that on for like today and tomorrow, and then I'll make it other than that, I'll put this on the app. And if you're an Instagram member, we're bringing these back, baby. And I'm also going to do exclusive readings again for those of you on the Instagram membership. And yeah, guys, basically, it's time for us to harvest this grand harvest of the life that you have been preparing for the past 6 months, maybe your whole life. And this is a really great period to integrate new behaviors that align with who you're meant to be in this new world. Remember, back to the analogy, this year is like you are no longer working with a major label. They want you to re-sign and renew your contract. You're like, I'm going independent. And you're going to sign that contract next year. So the way you used to live your life as someone who was signed is not the way you're going to live your life as an independent. And you're defining what that lifestyle for you as this new type of artist is going to be ahead of time, so that by the time we're signing that contract next year, boom, you're there. Okay. And because you're not re-signing this contract, the label wants to antagonize you. The label wants to discourage you. The label is like, oh, you think you can make as much money independently? You think you can be successful without our help? You think you can do this without us? Because at the end of the day, the label's here to make money. And if you're competition, they aren't going to play with that. Business is business. So how are you going to navigate through that? Is the integrity, and that's why I'm saying a lot of people are going to fold, because when the label now tries to embarrass you by putting out news stories, right, and everyone's laughing at you, are you going to fold and just re-sign and renew the contract? Because now they're going to give you even less than they promised you, right? Or are you going to stand on the two and be like, I don't care, like I'm independent now, or I'm signing a contract with a better company that actually respects my value, or I just found a better deal, or we were able to renegotiate a contract that we both agree with. We're moving forward on new terms. So ask yourself, what is the life you want to live? And when I say this, don't look realistically. Don't be like, well, this isn't possible. No, imagine if everything was possible for you right now. What is the life you want to live? And all you have to do for the next 28 days is to think, feel, and behave as the person who is living that life. Even if you have nothing to show for it, your behaving as that is all that's needed. 007, baby, license to kill. I love that. You just doing that is all that's needed. Okay. Because let's say you want to live the lifestyle of someone who's flying private jets, right? And you want to fly a PJ, but what you do in your life is you drive your car to work every day for the next 28 days. As you are driving your car to work, literally think as if I'm taking my PJ to work. As you're working this job, literally think as if I'm living my dream life. That's it. It doesn't matter how delusional you feel. That's it. Now you have something really real that you're aligning this intention towards. There's nothing else you have to do. Just put in that consistency. If there are one or two things that you can create that will lead you there, commit to that. And as you maintain this intention, the way forward will unfold for you, because you're emitting that frequency for the universe to meet. And that'll come in the form of people who you would least expect have opportunities, because everything that you want, someone else has, and everything that someone else wants, you have. And it's a beautiful way. You never know that something you think is worth nothing to you is worth everything to someone else, and vice versa. All right. So anyway, I'm going to close this out. You guys stay blessed as always. This is going to be a really magical transit because we're going to experience real change and really take into account the habits you want to keep and the habits you want to release. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.